I was a little reluctant to start the list for the same reasons as this gentleman, because I'm an optimist, and I'd like to think that most things I started to think of being potentially unachievable, I still think are basically most largely achievable.
Yeah.
So I started throwing really silly things in here. Heli ski from the top of a very high mountain.
Yeah, done it.
And the like.
Somebody said go into space online. Somebody put a thing into
Right.
space, and they went, no, I really want to do that. And they like realized that there was something they were desperately interested in doing.
But the more I wrote them down, the kind of deeper that I went, I think. So the last one I wrote was that that my kids won't all have their children, my grandchildren, and share Christmas dinner with them under the walnut tree that I haven't yet planted in the garden. So,
You'll probably do it now, though.
yeah, well,
So the power of writing things down too. I
Is
think
it
like
motivating?
this gentleman here. Power of
Is it actually
writing
motivating to write
things down,
things?
jokes, huh?
Is it actually motivating to write it down and say, I will do it?
Yeah.
That's what we
Well,
have.
that's the positive way of doing it.
Yeah.
just on that notion of capitalism and the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
There was a really interesting article in the media recently where the ninth richest man in the world, worth billions and billions, was
19 billion.
19 billion.
70-year-old.
A 70-year-old. Yeah. No, she said it. You complete the story, really.
Would you swap places with the 70-year-old if you got his $19 billion?
As a 30-year-old.
Well, that was what became the discussion.
Yeah.
And it devalued money, because only if he was sort of 65 would you swap places.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting debate. This is America.
Yeah.
Well, human beings are perhaps the only ones that they know that they will die,
Yeah.
or other animals. So, it's the tragic element of life.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you when you say, you live that those first years behind, and then you start to understand that actually those fears are probably a product of anxiety, of trying to understand something that perhaps there's no meaning in, you might find meaning in life, you start to break it down into small units. You know why you go to work, why you pay your rent, there is meaning in life in the small things. But if you start putting all these things together, you start to, but the danger is to fall in this nihilism, in this pessimism. This is the danger in terms of, okay, I'll throw the towel, I'm not going to work tomorrow, I'm not having a shower anymore, I'm not doing anything,
Well, that was like, so this sort of came up because, this publication came up because, as you know, it was in a really long-term relationship, and that finished up at the end of last year, and then it was like, suddenly it was like, I realized I had put so much of my identity into that relationship that then that was gone, and I was like, what's the point? Like, what's the point anymore? Because I was like going to work and I was doing all this stuff, and I knew I was building for this family. And now that family's gone, and that home is gone, and now I'm living in a flat again with 20-year-olds. I don't know why. But now I'm everything, suddenly the world is just flipped up and shaken, and everything's gone. And it's just like, and so now I have to go, where do I put meaning? And suddenly being forced at that thing of going, is it in the work? Is it in the thing? Is it in the,
So I think the only solution is reaction.
Yeah.
And revolt.
Oh, wow.
And fighting against it and going for it and trying to, without being idealistic.
Yeah.
Without falling into something like, romanticizing
building
life,
an expectation.
But that shit will happen.
Yeah. Well, everything will end in that way.
Well, in a certain way, artists are driven towards that tragic element. Why? It's that Nietzsche describes that the birth of tragedy, you know, that